We have another potential free agency signing for the Rams to look into. We actually have a former NFL player pushing the Rams to sign this player. We're also going to discuss Cooper Kupp, his potential destinations, as he may actually sign as early as today. That's Friday, March 14th, so we'll see if we get any updates on that. We'll also discuss Devontae Adams and what he had to pay Puka Nacua to get that number 17 off of his back. We'll discuss all that and much more on today's episode of the Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Giron. Remember, if you guys are not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, press that subscribe button now, as 71.7% of you guys are watching the video but still not subscribed to the channel. Do me a favor, press that subscribe button now so you don't miss any daily Rams content here at the Rams Digest. Before we get into the stories, I do want to hear a quick word from the sponsor for today's video. We are incredibly excited to be kicking off our March Madness bracket here for the channel. We're going to be partnering up with the Hot Takes app and other digest channels for this event. It's completely free to sign up. All you got to do is download the Hot Takes app, go ahead and click over the March Madness banner at the top, and under group, select the Digest Media Pool. This is extremely exciting, guys. We're talking about over $25,000 in prizes to be won, and since there's a much smaller pool of people participating, there's a real chance of winning big compared to other bracket challenges out there. Check out the link below or scan the QR code to download the app, and make sure to use the promo code DIGEST in all caps. Again, that's DIGEST in all caps to get exclusive perks when signing up. It's completely free, a serious chance to win. So do me a favor, if you guys have any questions at all, go ahead and hit the email down below. Other than that, thank you to Hot Takes for this opportunity, and I hope to see you all there in the March Madness pool. Okay, first things first, we originally were going to discuss Cooper Kupp and potential landing spots of Cooper Kupp. He was potentially talking to Dallas and Seattle, and well, we have breaking news here on the channel. I actually already recorded the video, was done editing and everything. We're about to post the video, yet we had breaking news here on the channel as of 10 minutes ago. Cooper Kupp has decided on where he is going to sign. That decision is officially the Seattle Seahawks. Actually kind of, going back home, which is kind of nice for Cooper Kupp, I think, to go home in Seattle, only 2 hours away from where he played high school football, apparently. So returning home, Rams Cooper Kupp is expected to sign with the Seahawks. Per the insiders, he's likely to make $15 million per year or more. Sam Darnold gets a new weapon, while Washington, the Yakima, Washington native and Eastern Washington product, lands 2 hours from where he played high school football. So overall, very, very happy for Cooper Kupp in general. I think, unfortunate that he's going to go to Seattle, a division rival, but I think we have to understand he's going home. I think he's going somewhere where he's going to be comfortable, feel comfortable playing, I'm sure, alongside some family and friends that he grew up with. And so ultimately, it does kind of make the most sense if we're talking about Cooper Kupp, his personality. This is something that I think that aligns with all of that. And so, again, actually, originally in the video I was discussing, it's not ideal to hear that the Seattle Seahawks were kind of leading that front in terms of getting Cooper Kupp, but ultimately, I don't even really feel, too bad or weird about it because I think it kind of does make some sense, right? When we're talking about Cooper Kupp, as I had the wrong screenshot for a second. So Seahawks are giving him a 3-year contract, and we actually are getting more details as this is, like I said, it really is breaking news. This just happened and was just announced. So we have here, he's expected to sign for 3 years. The contract is $45 million total for the contract. So again, roughly about $15 million per year. And ultimately, we talked about this. I was discussing potentially the Dallas Cowboys being interested, but I just didn't feel, as I said yesterday in yesterday's video, I didn't feel the Cowboys were going to be willing to pay Cooper Kupp what he was seemingly asking for, and $15 million per year is kind of a lot for a player that we've seen his production in Los Angeles. We've seen the Rams, from our perspective, how he's been up and down in terms of injury and things of that nature, and then in terms of 700 yards per season around that range the last couple of seasons, it's just not really worth the $15 million per year. Generally speaking, Cooper Kupp is well worth the money. I think he's well deserving of the money. I don't like talking player contracts because it gets complicated. He's well deserving of the money, don't get me wrong. But if we're really talking about value and specifically talking about statistically, if Cooper Kupp is healthy, I think he can get over 1,000 yards still. And so I think that's what Seattle's hoping for the next few years, that he can stay healthy and obviously be a good target, reliable target for Sam Darnold, their new quarterback. But ultimately, I do understand other teams not being interested in Cooper Kupp for that price range. And that's why I think Seattle was kind of alone in that realm of that amount of money paying Cooper Kupp. So, they got a good player that they've seen the last few years, they're comfortable with, they're familiar with. Any more updates here? Cameron DeSilva tweeted, good for Kupp. Strong deal. That'll be interesting in how much he is guaranteed, which I also agree with. So, ultimately, former Super Bowl MVP Cooper Kupp. He's no longer a Los Angeles Ram. He is now a Seattle Seahawk. Not going to be pretty seeing him in a Seattle Seahawks uniform. Like I said, it's not really ideal to see him go to a division rival, but ultimately, I think generally speaking, I'm happy for Cooper Kupp. I hope he sees success in Seattle. Just hope he doesn't see success when he plays the Rams. That's all it is. So that's the breaking news of the day. We'll continue on with the video. Sorry if it's a real sharp cut. I did not expect this, so I'm cutting this in after I already finished the rest of the video. So go ahead and continue the rest of the video. An interesting story to kind of still discuss here, talking about former Rams still on this topic. Bills GM, free agent, saying free agent signings, Michael Hoyt and Larry O. These are, obviously Michael Hoyt being a former Ram, facing 6-game suspensions, both for PED violations. So kind of very unfortunate news for any Buffalo Bills fans out there. They signed 2 interesting pieces right on the defensive side of the ball, and both guys are actually going to be out nearly half the season, right? 6 games or a third of the season, if you will. So very, very tough to see. I think if you're a Rams fan, of course, you wanted to maybe interested possibly in keeping Michael Hoyt around. He goes ahead and signs a pretty solid contract with Buffalo just to ultimately be suspended for 6 games. So very, very unfortunate for Michael Hoyt. I guess you can say the Rams dodged a bullet by letting him walk. I don't think the Rams are ever going to pay him as much money as he got from Buffalo, but ultimately, wishing him nothing but the best, but unfortunate to see him dealing with this 6-game suspension already in his first year moving on from the Rams. Moving on from that, bring in the juice. What are we talking about here? A former NFL running back, actual current color analyst for the Los Angeles Rams. You know who we're talking about, Maurice Jones-Drew. He's obviously very tied to what the Rams are doing and planning just in terms of the season this year. He is basically coming out, making it known on social media. Former All-Pro running back wants the Rams to sign fullback Kyle Juszczyk following 49ers release. And obviously, I think we talked about this yesterday, right? When we're talking about Kaiser White, bringing in a guy like that, and from a former Arizona Cardinal. You're hurting the Arizona Cardinals in the process, but also bringing in a good player that at a position you kind of need. Now, when we're talking about Kyle Juszczyk, maybe fullback isn't the most glorious position out there, but I think many Rams fans are very familiar with what Kyle Juszczyk specifically can do at the fullback position. A very talented player, utility piece, very good blocker, very willing blocker, but also a good player who can still run the ball a little bit and also catch passes out of the backfield. I think that would add some more creativity to Sean McVay and what he can do on the offensive side of the ball. So and also blocking for Kyren Williams. It's also a very good, important piece that we can see Kyle Juszczyk bringing to the table. And so here's an Instagram post here from Adam Schefter. He said after being released from the 49ers, he kind of gave a whole paragraph here, and Maurice Jones-Drew in the comments says, "Come to the Rams, it makes sense, LOL." I don't know if Kyle Juszczyk is necessarily super interested in signing with the Rams, but it is definitely, I think, an interesting route the Rams could take. Do you want to pay the $4 or $5 million that it might cost for Kyle Juszczyk? When you're talking about the fullback position, I'm not sure if that's what the Rams are interested in doing. I do think, one, it'd be nice to hurt the 49ers fans in the process of signing a free agent that could help your team and also helping your team on the offensive side of the ball. But ultimately, I think this is more like just kind of a interesting route the Rams could take, but nothing that I think is real in terms of that they actually might go down this route, because I think Kyle Juszczyk, his name alone, kind of holds some value at the fullback position. A lot of people value what he brings to the table at that position, and I don't think the Rams would be in that price range of what he probably could get in the open market. We'll wait and see on that, but definitely something that's interesting. Shout out to Maurice Jones-Drew doing some kind of recruiting as a color analyst for the Rams. That's always pretty cool to see. Moving on from that, how much did Davante Adams pay for that number 17? There's no way Puka Nacua went on and just gave him that number. He had to have paid something. What did he pay? And actually, if you guys missed it, he was on Amon-Ra St. Brown's podcast, the podcast he hosts with his brother. And in the interview, he actually blatantly said that there's not really much that Davante Adams can do to rip 17 off of his back. Yet, somehow, some way, Puka Nacua is now wearing number 12 and Davante Adams is wearing 17. So where and how did that change? And what did Davante Adams really pay and offer Puka Nacua for this number? And the truth is, the story goes, here's what it is. Nothing. It actually is nothing. Apparently, according, I know it doesn't really say anything here on this screenshot, but apparently according to Davante Adams, he actually didn't even discuss anything in terms of jersey number or anything. He hasn't even talked to Puka, as far as I know, before he went ahead and got confirmation that he was going to wear number 17 this season for the Rams. So I don't know kind of where that switched around for Puka Nacua, but apparently Puka Nacua went from saying, no, I'll never change my jersey number, he's not ripping 17 off my back, to all of a sudden changing his jersey number. So here we're hearing from Davante Adams. He says, no, I actually woke up to a text, missed call from my agent, Sean, when everything was basically done. He said, I was just jet lagged as hell, so I was trying to get adjusted. I woke up having a conversation with him before I could even brush my teeth. He was telling me that Puka was already changing. I didn't even talk to him about it. I think it was his plan to change to 12. I don't know when, but I know that before I even knew for sure if I was headed to LA, he was already talking about wearing number 12. So very, very interesting. I don't know where Puka, I'm very intrigued to hear from Puka Nacua publicly. I know he already came out and said why he's wearing number 12 specifically, but he never really said why he's changing to number 12. And I kind of find it interesting. Maybe he was discussing things with his family. I don't know if you guys know this as well. Not really super, I'm not into the gossip of the NFL, but Puka Nacua and his long-term girlfriend, who actually they've been on social media together, so she's kind of known by some Rams fans out there, as she's been posting a lot of her perspective being Puka Nacua's girlfriend. They actually broke up, and he announced that on his podcast. So I don't know if maybe the breakup is getting to him. I know he's been talking about as well, he doesn't want a girlfriend, doesn't want to get married until, or at least doesn't want to get married until he wins a Super Bowl. And so I think that kind of perspective maybe meant where he's at mentally in that whole state. He wants maybe a fresh start this year. He understands maybe Davante Adams is probably going to ask for 17 anyways, might as well give it to him, and also wear number 12 that means something to him and his family. And so very intriguing. I don't know, again, really know why or when he made this decision, but apparently, according to everybody, it seems like this was a decision to change to 12 that he was making without whether or not Davante Adams was going to sign in Los Angeles. So here's Davante here as well, speaking on Puka Nacua in general. He says, seeing what he did in that first half of the season, I'm like, okay, this guy has what it takes, that's for sure. As I continue to watch and see how he finished the year, stuff like that doesn't happen by accident. He has the God-given, he has an amazing electric personality. That personality here, this is coming from the article, was the reason Nacua welcomed Adams to Los Angeles by giving up his number even before the veteran had to ask. For everybody out there who that wants to hate me for making them buy new jerseys, Adams said, I did not tell him, I didn't pay him, I didn't do anything. That was out of the kindness of his heart, and he wore it in college, so I guess that made sense. So, shout out to Puka Nacua doing his thing, representing the Rams well. I talked about this a couple episodes ago. Puka is just kind of that guy, right? He seems like a Rams fan. He seems like just a fan of the game, and ultimately, whatever it takes to kind of make everything be smooth, it's never going to be an issue when it comes to Puka Nacua. And so, shout out to Puka for being a team leader, being making a very mature move to say, hey, this is the big guy, this is the veteran, Davante Adams. When you're welcoming a guy at your position, I can only imagine if you're Puka, right? We talked about him possibly being a Triple Crown winner next year. He has Matthew Stafford. He's going to be the number one receiver here, and maybe he can still possibly be the number one receiver, but for Puka Nacua to be humble enough to say, you know what, Davante Adams is a guy who's done this for a long time, you can have the number, whether you ask for it or not, don't pay me a dime, at least, for now, don't pay me a dime, and, I'll change my jersey number, no big deal. And so shout out to Puka for doing that. I think it's always awesome hearing stories like this about Puka Nacua for sure, and just so happy that he's representing the Rams organization as a whole, because he's definitely a great representation of what it takes in terms of being a Ram. All right, moving on from that, last but not least, trivia of the day. My favorite part of the episode, in my opinion. I always enjoy finding these questions for you guys, and I love seeing your guys' answers. I love seeing the responses. So if you guys have never played trivia of the day before, don't worry. We'll show you what it looks like, as last trivia of the day looked like this. Here was the question. It said, which of these quarterbacks caught a pass in the Super Bowl? That was a question that I posed here on the channel. And when we were discussing it, I gave multiple choice options to the fans who watched this. We had a few comments, but before we get into the comments, the options were as such. Was it A, John Elway, B, Ben Roethlisberger, was it C, Eli Manning, or was it D, Kurt Warner? We did have a few people respond, so I want to give them shout outs for responding to that trivia of the day last episode. Victor says John Elway. Lewis says John Elway is my guess. Jesus Rodriguez says Kurt Warner. I'm probably wrong. Haha. Brian B says Kurt Warner. Spelled it wrong. Don't worry about it. We get it. Question mark as well. I appreciate the question mark, Brian B. We have Thomas saying Ben Roethlisberger, and we had Floyd saying John Elway. Appreciate you always commenting, Floyd. And another question mark. Just be a little more confident in your answers, Floyd. No, I'm just kidding. I appreciate the question marks. Again, I appreciate that you're saying, I'm guessing here. You don't really know. The answer for the question was not Ben Roethlisberger. It was not anybody else on the list. It was actually A, John Elway. John Elway was the only quarterback of those few that actually caught a pass in the Super Bowl. I appreciate all your guesses, whether you got it right, whether you got it wrong. I appreciate them all. If you guys want to play along with today's trivia of the day, go ahead and play along with today's question, as it is as such. Here we go. New Rams wide receiver Davante Adams set school records for touchdown catches at what California college? and this should be an easy one for a lot of people. I kind of almost don't even want to give you guys multiple choice options. I will. But if you know the answer before the multiple choice answers, actually, if you know the answer before I give you multiple choice options, go ahead and comment right now your answer and let me know. This is before I said any multiple choice options. Let me know down below. I really appreciate that because I'm kind of curious to see what you guys know about Davante Adams and where he went to school. Again, new Rams wide receiver Davante Adams set school records for touchdown catches at what California college? Was it A, San Diego State? Was it B, UC Davis? Was it C, Stanford? Or was it D, Fresno State? Let me know your comments down below. Quick little hint, I've actually mentioned this on the show in general. I've actually said this before. So let me know what you guys think down below. Give your guesses if you want to get a shout out on the next episode. That's going to do it for me on today's episode of the Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Giron, and I am out.